Welcome back, and great to have you still here all at the PENTAX Medical Online event. We're now heading into the last section of today where we're going to talk about smart and sustainable innovations in reprocessing. We've got 3 speakers in this section who are going to elaborate on their unique perspective on the topic. We're going to start with Paul César, who is from PENTAX Medical and who is the head of hygiene, infection control, and reprocessing. Paul is going to elaborate on the benefits of automation in reprocessing to minimize human errors without losing the expertise and knowledge of the hospital staff. We're then going to move on to Dr. Koch, who is the head of the Department of Gastroenterology at the University Hospital Besançon in France. Dr. Koch will be joining us online, and he's going to speak about innovations within the field of endoscopy, such as the plasma typhoon and the aqua typhoon. We're then going to end with the last speaker in terms of presentation, and that will be Dr. van den Broek, who is an ENT specialist head neck surgeon at the Radboud University in Nijmegen, the Netherlands. Dr. van den Broek is going to speak about new technology using ultraviolet C light for disinfecting channelless endoscopes. But before we head to Dr. van den Broek, we're going to start with Paul César from PENTAX Medical.
So thank you for this very kind introduction and welcome to all attendees over the whole world. So yes, there was a lot of talk about reprocessing endoscopes and also about sustainability and also about safety, of course, and it should be in balance with each other. So previous speakers already talked about training and the manual reprocessing steps in endoscopy. And when we look at reprocessing endoscopes, for many decades, steps were already automated, like the cleaning and disinfection in the automated endoscope reprocessor. And it could also be used for drying the endoscope, but that will lead to a prolonged time of the endoscope reprocessing. So drying and storage can be also automated with the use of drying cabinets, of course. But there are still manual steps. And all these steps, manual steps, the bedside cleaning, the pre-cleaning, and also in some countries still the drying is manual, requires meticulous compliance with the standards of infection control, with the guidelines each country has. But it requires also meticulous compliance with the specific reprocessing steps for each endoscope, which is in our reprocessing IFUs. So we are talking now about the manual steps and how to overcome the errors which can be there in those manual steps. And it's all depending on the people, the products, and the processes you already heard from the previous speakers. So let us have a look at the manual pre-cleaning. It's labor-intensive. We all know. It's time-consuming. It's not standardized. It's not controlled. It's not reproducible. It's not validated. And there's no traceability. And what is also important, it's prone to error, mainly the brushing and the flushing. What also is important, it's less ergonomic for staff because of the frequent brushing and siren handling. There's a lot of water consumption, and talking about sustainability, we are talking about 30 to 40 liters water per endoscope, which is clean drinking water quality. There is more waste because you use brushes and sirens, which is also less sustainable. And, of course, there's always a debate on the cost, and the cost per cycle are depending on the hospital situation, because there are labor costs and the cost of the consumables. But let us have a look at the human errors. What is a human error? There's a lot about definition on human errors. This is just one of them. It's an undesirable effect or potential effect on systems or people. So there are 3 different kinds of errors. There are mistakes. It's a knowledge error, the lack of knowledge or information. There are lapses, which is a rule error, failure to apply information correctly. And the last one, the slips, that are skill errors. a result from poor performance through distraction, inattention, and inadequate skill. And yeah, 60% is commonly recognized. So errors in reprocessing. We have technical errors. With the washer disinfectors, with the drying cabinets, for example, there can be an acute problem. It can be a result of lack of service or a lack of maintenance. And there are the human errors. And okay, human error is in our nature. It might happen to everyone, at any time, in any context, even to me. It might not be an accident, and then it's becoming very dangerous. And it can also be caused by multiple factors. So let us have a look at the factors for errors in endoscope reprocessing related to the human error impact factors. There's the competence. Ulrike nicely highlighted this. The staff has to identify different brands of endoscopes, different types, different models, also dealing with different IFUs or standard operation procedures. It's a non-intuitive procedure, and steps are not always organized in a way that promotes memorization. It's also an organizational impact factor. It's a stressful work environment. It's physically engaging. And, of course, it's related with a high production pressure and a high volume turnover. And what is important, there's an important distinction. There are active errors. Errors are associated with the performance of the frontline operators, which is the reprocessing staff, but there are also latent errors. We always forget that one. Errors related to activities removed in time and space from the direct control interface, because managers have made some decisions, or designers have made some design failures, or in the maintenance section. We all know when we are looking at the human impact factor, there's a lack of access to or understanding the manufacturer's validated instructions for use. Knowledge is already pointed out by Ulrike. There's also an underestimation of the risk. And what is also there is an inadequate number of staff to support the volume, the workflow, and the throughput. Time pressure demands for rapid endoscope turnaround, frequent disruptions or interruptions during the reprocessing task, and also a limited accountability, and already mentioned by Ulrike, inadequate training. And also important is that there is an inadequate number of staff to support the volume. Let us have a deep look at the brushing, because that is one of the factors which is prone to human error. There was a study in 2012, and we see here that 96% of the brushing is not done in the right way, so leading to errors. And if you look at the mind of the reprocessing staff, these are all factors which are involving all those human impact factor and failures in endoscope brushing. What was very nice is that this study showed that forgetting is the most frequently cited contributing factor to error and the highest co-occurrence with difficult tasks in the reprocessing procedure. And it's all depending on the environment. So how to overcome these human errors? We should, with the researchers, overcome technical solutions to overcome human errors, and also redesigning the environment. And coming to automation, standardized processes and equipment, increasing automation to eliminate human shortcomings. How to overcome this? Errors are preventable. Yes, they are. By improving the competency of the staff, knowledge and training. Also the system design. And last but not least, automation can play a key role in overcome human errors. So automation in reprocessing is very important. We have some solutions in our hygiene reprocessing solution portfolio. For example, with the Aqua Typhoon, or even with the UVD60. But it's all depending on the people and the processes and the relation with the products. The benefits of automation in reprocessing, of course, standardized reprocessing, enhanced hygiene, patient safety, staff ergonomics, improving the pre-cleaning efficacy, reducing musculoskeletal disorders, and improving drying efficacy. and improving reprocessing efficacy, maximizing endoscopy efficiency and productivity, and taking care, of course, for the environment, reducing water and waste, and finally, reducing the costs. So the key message is automation is key. Humans will still be needed, of course. And when we introduce automated solutions, it's also finding the balance between automation, human qualities, expertise, and experiences. And, of course, additional usability problems with the new equipment devices should be considered too, which is the training of the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Paul. And please come over here to the table where we're going to have a chat after the next two presentations. And the first presentation we're going to have now is from Dr. Koch, who's joining us online, who's going to talk about first-hand experience with the newest innovations.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be with you at this fantastic hygiene event online. I very love the previous talks. It will be fantastic. My topic today is the first-hand experience with the newest device, the Aqua Typhoon. It's very strange for me to give a talk without scientific data, but I will focus on the first-hand experience. The Plasma Typhoon is the first step of a complete cycle. We talk about that. After the Plasma Typhoon, we have to put the endoscope in a washer or disinfector, and finally drying the endoscope with a Plasma Typhoon and storage in a plasma bag. The global warming is a real problem, and water is a big issue. As you can see, in France, we experience a record period of 32 days without rain this winter. It's completely scary. And there is some riots in France about mega basin. Mega basin is a mega pool which are built for water storage and agriculture use, mainly for very large farms. In the same time, the groundwater tables are at their lowest, but especially in the southeast of France, and there is a small village on the southeast of Pyrenees without water during several months. So we need solution to save water by reducing personal and industrial consumption. What is the background of hygiene in France? As all the country in Europe, there is low instruction, too low instruction during summer 2016 and summer 2018. The first step is the pre-cleaning in the operative room. It's very important. You wipe away blood and stools with damp clothes and suction of water. And after transplanting the endoscope before drying, before the biofilm. And the next step in the reprocessing room is the cleaning. That's the key point. After the cleaning, we will make disinfection in a washer disinfector and drying and safe storage. If you look at the manual cleaning, you need normally 15 liters mandatory. But when I look at the staff, they use daily 20 liters because I want to do my best, because I like to completely immerse the endoscope, because they want to do their best. So 20 liters daily is very big consumption. After the water, you add chemistry, 1 dose of chemistry for 5 liters of water. So what is the difference between aqua typhoon and manual cleaning? The main difference is the water consumption, 5 liters for aqua typhoon and 15 liters for manual cleansing. The power consumption is very low. The chemical product for aqua typhoon is none, and for manual cleaning is 1 dose for 5 liters. The during of the whole cycle is quietly the same. It's not a question. And the traceability is full automatically with aqua typhoon. And when you do the manual cleaning, you have to make a manual traceability. What does the process look like? First of all, you start to identify the endoscope. As you can see on the movie, the first step is to put the scope in an aqua box in inner typhoon, which designed by Plasmabiotic. The first step is the leak test connection in order to pressurize the endoscope, and after the identification by reading the barcode. And after you make the leak test, this is a duodenoscope from Fuji. And you can see when you want to make a good leak test, you have to move the scope right, left, upright in order to see a leak. The next step is an exterior manual cleansing with a water jet. So as it is a duodenoscope, you have to clean under and above the elevator. So you have to move the elevator and clean again. And the automatic step starts now. To check all the connection, you have to put the last connecting on the operative channel. So the operative channel is connected. And we start the automatic cycle. You can see the water jet at the outlet of the scope, on the operative channel, on the water channel, on the air channel. You can see I put the camera inside the aqua box. Dangerous for my phone, but you can see the aqua jet. And finally, the cleansing is finished. So you have to put the endoscope on an endoscope washer disinfector to make the disinfection. So what is the result? We need more data. The first study is a study from Biotech German, which is a big factory. They deliberately contaminated duodenoscope from Olympus. They start the plasma typhoon, the aqua typhoon cycle, and after that, just after that, before the automatic cleansing, disinfection, they make some samples in order to looking for protein residual. As you can see, after a classic manual brushes and detergent in green, the result was very bad. After a water brushes without detergent, the result is very, very bad. And after aqua typhoon, you can't see the result because it's very good and very bad, very small. The first result in my unit, very few results, but we make some samples, bacteriological and fungal samples, after the complete cycle Aqua Typhoon, automatic disinfection and storage, and all the results for the moment is very good in the target zone. So I'm not a caregiver, I'm not a member of the staff of the cleaning room, so I interview the staff and I can give you the answer. Over the past few weeks, we have gone through several stages of reflection. At the start, I heard, I do not like change. It is not possible to clean without a swab or a brush. I don't want to be replaced by a machine. And now I hear it's work. The water jet remove blood and stone residue even under the elevator, quicker than me, and we need a second device. At the beginning, we were afraid to be replaced. Blood residue stuck under the elevator is released quicker and easier, and the power jet is very powerful. During the process, we have time to do other things. First of all, as you can see, we can wash manually an endoscope. During the Aqua Typhoon, automatically wash another endoscope. So we save time. I give you some tips and tricks. Watch out of the contaminated liquid splashes. So you have to put the endoscope with the outlet at the opposite side of the window for the arm of the staff. You have to take care of the plastic shutter, and we need a longer connector. So take care of the dirty liquid.
Zo langer, 2, 3 uur.
Sorry. The main problem is the droplets which accumulate behind the glass and obstruct vision. So we need to see what we do. We can use the aquajet. As you can see, when you wash a duodenoscope, sometimes we need to remove the droplet with the aquajet, or as you can see, with an air jet. Probably there is several solutions. And perhaps we have to use a repellent on the window, like for cars. The staff would like to have at the right side of the window hang for the aquajet. And it's a true story. During the last week of May, we were now out swab because of the stock is very low. So without Aqua Typhoon, we would have to use single-use endoscope. We have someone, or stop working. And thanks to the Aqua Typhoon, we were able to continue working. Probably we must redefine the architecture of the cleaning room. Do we need so many things? But while we have to keep a manual solution as a backup, and is the dirty to clean pathway still mandatory? And what is the better design with several Aqua Typhoon in a cleaning room? To finish, I'd like to talk about work-related musculoskeletal disorder. It is very important in the cleaning room. The work posture is very important. The repetitiveness and the pace of work is important, and the monotonous task. So when I ask to the staff, they think they have less pain on the shoulder, probably because we have only one Aqua Typhoon. So One time they use aqua typhoon, one time they do manual cleaning, so they change the position, and it's quite good for the pain of the musculoskeletal disorder. But swabbing a channel is a very repetitive job, and it's probably dangerous for the worker. We have still numerous unanswered questions. What is the learning curve? How do the training for the staff? Is the training easier than the manual cleaning? We need scientific tests. It's quite mandatory. What about the quality of water? In our region, we have a water very, very hard. Is it the same from the water from the mountain? Is it efficacy in old channels with very old endoscope? Will the channels be less warmth with the aqua typhoon? What is the base design of the box? And you can see the main problem in the visibility. And we need some common guidelines with the Hygiene Society, the European Hygiene Society, and the European Endoscopic Society. So I wish you a green summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Koch, for that very extensive presentation and explanation. Right now, we are going to go to the last speaker of today's event. We have Dr. Guido van den Broek, who is going to talk about Beyond GI.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to talk about ENT endoscopy. So that's beyond GI. Actually, it's above GI, and I'm going to present a study which we did in the disinfection for non-channel endoscopes. I've got one disclosure to make, which is presented here in this slide. And when you look at ENT and endoscopes, there are two main types which we are using. On the left, you see the distal end of the endoscope without a working channel, and on the right, you see an endoscope with working channel. Main ENT doctors are using the endoscope without a working channel. And for example, on the afternoon, a normal ENT doctor will do like 10 endoscopy procedures in the outpatient clinic. So we use a lot of these endoscopes, and yeah, internationally there is no reprocessing consensus of how you disinfect these kind of endoscopes. Right now, UVC light is a new method to disinfect these endoscopes, and we did a study to look at that. Because there's a big problem right now that the current disinfection process is very time-consuming. So when we do the endoscopy, the endoscope has to be transported to the central sterilization department, and after that it will be pre-cleaned and leak tested. And after that, the endoscope goes into the washing machine, and the washer disinfector will disinfect the endoscope. After that, a drying process is needed, and then the endoscope goes back to the ENT department again. And that can take up to 6.5 hours, so that's very time-consuming. That's why we did a study to compare the washer disinfector and the UVC light machine. And the aim of this study was to investigate the CFU reduction on these flexible endoscopes without a working channel after the UVC disinfection, compared to the endoscoping washing disinfector. So that's another endoscope than we were talking about earlier. So it is an endoscope without a working channel. That's why first we did a single center study in our own hospital, and after that we did a multi-center study to compare the UVC light disinfection machine, which has a process of 60 seconds and no dry cleaning is needed. And we compared it with the disinfection washing disinfector. And that uses water and chemicals and takes normally about 40 minutes to clean the endoscope. And of course, additional drying is also needed. I think most of you don't know what the UVC light machine does look like, so that's why a video is implemented as well. As you can see, there's a bit of a preparation needed. After that, we put the endoscope into the machine. The UVC light will start, and after 1 minute, the procedure is finished, and you can take out the endoscope. So back to the study. The study was performed in 3 hospitals in the Netherlands, large hospitals with large ENT departments. 600 endoscopes were included in this study, and the process was as following. First, after the endoscopy, a manual pre-cleaning process was performed, and after that, there was a culture taken by rolling the distal part of the ENT endoscope over the plate count agar plate, as you can see here. After that, the disinfection method was done, and after that, a culture was also taken again. The culture was incubated, and after that the CFUs was determined. So the results of the study were that before the disinfection process, the 600 flexible endoscopes were determined, and what you can see is that there was around 50 endoscopes that didn't show any CFUs after clinical use. So we excluded those endoscopes from further analysis. And then we looked at the cultures after the disinfection method. And as you can see, 81% of the flexible endoscopes showed 0 CFUs after the UVC light disinfection. And 71% of the endoscopes showed 0 CFUs after the disinfection of the washing disinfector. So there was a good result for the UVC light method, and that was therefore more effective in reducing the CFUs on the flexible endoscopes without a working channel compared to the washing disinfector, which uses the water and chemicals. Another thing that we notice, of course, is that the UVC light method reduces the duration of the disinfection process, which might be an additional advantage in the ENT practice. Well, thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot for that, Dr. van den Broek, and please join us here at the table where we have about 15 minutes for the Q&A before we wrap up today's event. Maybe starting with you, Paul. You spoke about automation, how it can be beneficial, and it sounds all really great and fantastic, but are there any negative effects of automation processes?
Sure. Also, an automated device can become a result for a technical error, for example. And you also need the people that should be trained to handle the device, of course. So you always have to deal with the device, which is a technical device, which can be broken or something like that. But you also have the people who has to operate the device, and they should be trained, of course, also. If I introduce a device and not train the people who are using the device, yeah, it can certainly go wrong, of course.
Okay, and is there anything you could say about how automation affects the intrinsic or motivational factors of reprocessing staff? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, what we notice is that many people say, okay, this is really nice because I'm always have hurting my shoulders or pain in my wrist because of the brushing. I have to brush 80 endoscopes per day, for example. So they are really keen on this and say, okay, this could be really nice and has benefits for my daily work.
Dr. Koch, maybe also asking you, is that also the feedback you get from the staff?
Yes, yes, completely. They love the device, but I think we have to keep the knowledge of the manual cycle. It's very important to keep the training of the manual cleaning.
Okay, and there are some questions already coming in here, and they're mostly for you, Dr. Koch, so I'm going to stay with you now. First of one is there any scientific proof that the Aqua Typhoon is as good as using brushes?
No.
No.
No. Okay. We need some data.
Okay.
Studies are ongoing.
Oh, the studies are ongoing. Okay. Another question is how to use the Aqua Typhoon within the current regulations and guidelines?
We need some studies before.
Okay, so we're also going to need some studies there. And before I then move on to Dr. van der Broek is, what do you think about the time gap between manipulation and pre-cleaning when using Aqua Typhoon? Are there some limits?
The time consuming?
Yeah, what do you think about the time gap between manipulation and pre-cleaning when using...
I think there is no difference between the Aqua Typhoon cycle and the manual cycle. But the question in the gap between the pre-cleaning, the transport to the cleaning room, and the start to the Aqua Typhoon.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. van der Broek, welcome. So you were talking about UVC light as quite an effective disinfection technique. Can you tell me or tell the audience why is this not yet widely used within the field of medical devices?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Of course, there has to be evidence that it is better than the golden standard or even as good as the golden standard. And that's where we're working on right now. And because the field of infections is very important. When a patient gets another infection because of an not well disinfected endoscope, it has really great impact. So that's why, yeah, we need evidence before we change the current practice.
Okay. So I hear a lot of more evidence is needed from the various speakers here, which is of course normal with smart people. Going back to you, Dr. Koch. Now, we understand that the workflow in the endoscope unit will change because of these automated cleaning processes. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about the opportunities and challenges that come with such a change of the workflow?
It's difficult because it depends of the result of the future studies. If it's work completely, we can you can have less things. With less things, there is more less contamination of things, of water, and we can have a better design for the staff with Aqua Typhoon and just at the side the automatic disinfector.
Okay, thank you. And Paul, the question is coming in now specifically for you, and what your thoughts are on reprocessing flexible endoscopes using UVC light?
Yeah, what Guido van den Broek already showed us nicely is that I think it has a lot of opportunities because UVC light is a good disinfectant, already known for more than many years, of course, and already used in many other sectors than the medical sector. So I think it has a great opportunity, but still only for channelless endoscopes. Because, yeah, the UVC light is not yet ready to come into the channels of the endoscope. So that's still challenging, I guess.
Do you expect that to happen in the future?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah? Would you have anything to add to that? Do you also expect it's moving toward that direction?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but I think it's moving in that way. And maybe with a fiber or something like that, this should be possible to clean the channel as well with UVC light, yes.
Okay, and how does that work? Is it much more sustainable than current solutions?
It's a good question. We plan to do research on that as well. We think it is because of the chemicals in the washing disinfector. But yeah, as I mentioned, we need to do research on that to find out a good answer.
Yeah, and cost effectiveness, is it cheaper than the current ways of cleaning?
We also do research on that, and actually we are doing that right now, and we think it is cheaper because of the speeding up the process. And right now the process is done in the sterilization department. So we don't know. We have to look at the manual cleaning because now it's kind of automated in the sterilization department. Maybe we can put an UVC machine in our department, but then the pre-cleaning has to be, the manual cleaning has to be almost automated. So we're thinking about that. So, and when that's the case, it will be cheaper, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. Dr. Koch, you've integrated this new technology you spoke about already in your workplace. Would you have any suggestions for the folks listening and viewing us at this moment, how to do so in the most smooth way?
It's very easy to learn the cycle, but the key point is the box. We need a box which is safe for the staff and easy, and we need to see what we do. So we need a windows with a big angle to help the droplet to move, and that's the main problem.
Okay, and maybe coming to you then, Paul, I imagine that you guys are looking into this as we speak.
Sure. This is a good alternative solution for today's manual pre-cleaning, and of course, it's the first device which is completely doing this in this way. And of course, there are always things you can improve in the next version. For example, if you look at your first iPhone, for example, and now you have iPhone 13, it's the same, of course. That's why it's so important that it is in use in hospitals to get the experiences from the people and the feedback from them.
Yeah, and do you have any other experiences that you've had with other customers so far? How's it going with this product?
Yeah, people are very enthusiastic about this product, and what we hear from many conferences and the field in people in reprocessing, they are still saying, okay, this could be really a game changer because it's replacing so much what we did with brushes, sirings, saving a lot of water consumption, and also saving a lot of waste. But of course, people need to rethink the whole workflow. Because for 4 or 5 decades, we are used to brush our endoscopes. Yeah. And you can imagine, human mind is not so easily that they can change easily from step 1, which they did for many decades, to another step. Yeah. So we need to talk to the people and train them and motivate them. And change the mind of the people and change the workflow. And that's challenging, yeah.
Yeah, and how do you see that moving forward? I imagine that you're focusing a lot on training and doing those trainings. Are hospitals open for this very much, or?
Yeah, we talked about this also. Yeah, I see there are some early adapters, of course, always. They are very keen and want to use it and to test it, for example. And some hospitals are saying, okay, I just wait for more data because I want to be I want to be on the safe side, for example.
Yeah, you have to change the behavior of people, and that's a very difficult thing. So
how have you done it?
Yeah, well, actually there has to be a potential benefit for the person who is doing it. So for example, when we do right now the disinfection method in the sterilization department, and it goes back to the department, so in my case the ENT department, nurses have to do it. So they don't like it. But when you tell, well, when we are doing that, you spare money, and with the sparing money we can hire some new nurses, so your work pressure will be lower, well, they will be motivated to do it. So.
And you can keep that promise, because very often people say pressure will go down when other jobs come at it. So if you keep your promise, you've got all the people behind you.
Exactly.
Thank you. I'm also aware of the time. Dr. Koch, maybe some last thoughts from you to all the folks listening. What should they do or think or take action right now?
I think we have to think about the new design of the cleaning room. It's very important. The cleaning room needs to be near the operative room. Before, we have the biggest storage, and now we have plasma typhoon, which is very small. And we can redesign completely the operative room. It will be very interesting.
Okay, thank you. Paul, anything you would like to, tell the audience, some last final thoughts?
Yeah, what is my final key message is that people also in reprocessing should think more out of the box and looking for alternative solutions. You can compare it to driving in a petrol car and then you have to change to electric cars. And it's all about mindset and behavior. And I think we should focus on that.
Okay. And Dr. van der Broek, any thoughts, any wild dreams about UVC light disinfection?
Well, I would end with think about innovative techniques to put in your current standard method to see if we can do it better for first the patient and secondly the caregivers in the hospital. So.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. van der Broek. Thank you very much, Paul César, and thank you very much, Dr. Koch. We're coming to the end of today's PENTAX Medical's online event, and I've tried to recap a little bit what we've talked about. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. I think it's clear that we still have a lot to do within the world of endoscopy before it will become fully sustainable. But as we've heard, the topic is high on the agenda, and many countries and companies are already starting to do stuff like this, what we talked about today, and the results are actually quite promising, as we've heard from the various speakers. The single-use issue, that will still be on the agenda, probably for some time, but it seems to be moving into a direction where sustainability objectives are being considered, and action is being taken. So it's probably, as the title also of today's event is, it's about striking the right balance between hygiene and sustainability, and that just seems to take time and some very thorough considerations. As for the innovation within the field of endoscopy, I think we've seen already a lot of innovative solutions, a lot that is coming up. We've talked about UVC, and it's pretty clear that, at least from my perspective, PENTAX Medical is addressing this very succinctly, and we've heard that they will remain committed to developing solutions that provide the best clinical, economical, and environmental benefits. So let's hope they continue to do so, and thank you all for joining us today, and have a lovely day, evening, or night.